Guess what? We still can't see the statue. Where's it at, the guy says. All right, so we've counted
This is so South Carolina.
I mean, boy, did they botch this for their best coach of the history of their school. Now we move the Carolina flag. I mean, as far as statues go, her on a ladder holding up a net, I think is a creative statue.
I'm confused with the hat, though.
Here's the look over here now of the actual statue.
I guess it's like one of those championship hats. Yeah.
And she wears a hat occasionally.
Yeah.
And so do I.
I mean,
will your statue have one?
I hope not.
The net is just hanging in the sky. And it's a ladder. What's the big ladder company for the NCAA tournament? Did
Warner.
Did Warner pay for the statue?
That's a good question.
Does it have that on the side of it?
Yeah,
I'd want to sponsorship this out.
It looks like she's holding like a thing of seaweed. I've never seen the net as part of the statue either.
Yeah, now I applaud the creativity, but the execution, I'm not going to celebrate that. I mean,
the execution was awful.
Her on the ladder. Not a fan.
You don't like that? Okay.
No,
so you just prefer just standing there like Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Yeah, I'm just noticing the ladder now.
Are you really?
Yeah, I was so focused on the statue.
Yeah,
now I'm looking at the shot over here that Forster. Yeah. I'm looking at the one on the right, so I really...
Oh, you didn't know? I see now how you missed it. Yeah, so she's up on a ladder. She's just cut the net.
She doesn't wear pantsuits, does she?
Yeah, she does.
Well, she wears
she wears dresses while she's coaching?
A lot of times she wears those like velour.
She does have joggers sometimes. Yeah.
I've only seen 2 South Carolina games maybe in my life, but I've never seen her dress like that.
Well, I mean, I would have gone drawing up play or something. Okay. That'd be a good one if you have a couple other actual player statues.
I think this is a flex on how many championships.
Oh, there's no doubt that's what that is.
That's how you get a statue. Mm-hmm. Statue talk right here to start the show. We'll get to some of the other headlines here, brought to you by our friends at Odie's, where last night, LT, the question was...
this is the first time in the history of man this question has ever been asked.
Lance thinks he's asked a question for the first time. You ruled, Dunaway.
What came first, Travis Scott or the fall of the Berlin Wall?
You think that's the first time it's ever been asked in society? I would think so.
I think so.
I don't think anybody compares those two.
Travis Scott, the singer, rapper, 35, 36, 37.
34 yesterday.
Oh, Tyler helping you.
All of the Berlin Wall was 92, right?
No, Reagan years. 92 is Clinton. I'd go Berlin Wall. Bush was after Reagan. I'm going to say fall of the Berlin Wall was 86.
I had it at 87.
Maybe 87.
That's what I had.
remember this specifically. I was telling Brown last night. It was the first time I'd ever been drinking on Bourbon Street because dude was walking down the middle of Bourbon Street with USA Today. The wall's falling.
Yeah.
He was so excited about it.
Were people fired up for him?
Travis Scott yesterday, April 30th, 1991. Berlin Wall, November 9th of 1989. So the Berlin Wall came
early.
first.
I thought it was 87.
I thought it came down while Reagan was in office, but I guess it was when Bush was in office.
Yeah, these are the little things you learn every Wednesday night at Odie's Team Trivia. Make sure you come out, join us at the original location in Crestline. You get out there every single day for the great food from Rodney Davis, award-winning wings, delicious burgers, great sandwiches like the Diablo sandwich, live music on Fridays and Saturday nights. Great place to watch NBA playoff action. Won't be watching any more of the Lakers out on that patio, but drop in to one of the 2 locations today, Crestline, Edgewood, Birmingham Institution. It's Odie's Tavern.
Welcome in, Braves country, to another episode of the Pennant Grace. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter. This is Ush Sisk. We collectively make up the Pennant Grace. We're very happy to be here on this Thursday afternoon. Ush, how are we?
We are doing very, very well. We are lamenting the fact that we did not get a sweep in Colorado. Oh, how far we've come from the 0-7 days.
We feel so far beyond that.
We are so entitled.
Now we're like...
No longer happy to just take a series.
No.
It's just, why did we not get a sweep there?
Yeah, I do love our change in emotion of now we're expecting the sweep. And honestly, I feel like this is 2 series in a row that a sweep would have been nice, and it felt like it was in reach, if you will.
When you're playing bad teams, you don't want to just win. You want to dominate.
Yes.
You want to gain as much as you can, knowing what's coming ahead in your schedule.
Agreed. And I think that we're going to get into these games, but overall, Let's talk about our overall impressions of the road trip. I think it was a success. I think you'd be crazy to say that it was not a success, and this is very encouraging heading into this weekend's Dodgers series.
Absolutely, and Colorado is a bad team, and potentially will end up being the worst team in all of baseball. But Arizona is not a bad team, and I'm not sure what's going to happen there in the West because I don't know much about the Giants, and are they for real or not? I don't know. They've had a tremendous start. We know
that you hate their uniforms, their City Connect.
I do. We know that if you watch Tuesday, you would agree with me. I don't see how you couldn't hate those. But, obviously we know the Dodgers, who we're going to talk about later. We feel pretty confident on the Padres. But I feel that the Diamondbacks could be in the mix as well.
Agreed.
And so, again, very successful. Anytime you really are coming ahead on wins than losses and you don't have major injuries coming out of a road trip, then it's a successful road trip.
Okay, let's go straight to the chat because you guys are very active today. Let's start off with Nick. Hey, EG, I got a question. Where do you get tickets from that you trust, and where was that parking spot again? I may go tomorrow, but tickets on Brave site are a good bit higher than other sites. Okay, love that you're going to be in attendance. It's going to be a great series. Weather should be perfect. Maybe a little rain. I haven't updated it. So ticketing-wise, my brother and my parents are part of the A-list package. So we typically get those prepaid for season tickets. Now, I also will do like Vivid seats right before the game, and ticket prices usually will drop down. That's kind of a little hack. If you just go hang out in the Battery, start scrolling. I've never personally bought directly from the Brave site, and it's always been reputable. Now, if you really want to take a gamble, go to Will Call. And not many people do that anymore, and that's typically a good spot that you can get some pretty good seats. Wait until maybe first, second inning, and you can find something there. Last question about parking. Okay, so there's a few spots you can do. It's off of Cobb Parkway. So find the Goodwill and the Olive Garden. And there it ranges from $10 parking to about $20 parking. And you can park along there. Reach out on at the Pennant Grace, and we can give you more of a direct location / kind of the path you need to take. Super cheap, it's safe, it's easy. You won't have to worry about your car getting broken into and all that good stuff.
Yeah. We had some success. I think it was near the Costco, and there's a walkway that goes through, and that was a nice, easy walk.
Yeah, it's not bad, and honestly, we've talked about it. It's good to kind of walk after a game that you're sitting down.
Yeah, it is, and it's an easy walk, and you're not crossing anything, and so it's good.
Yeah.
And it's that's free parking where I was. So yeah, there's free and inexpensive parking. So Nick, hope you make it out, and if you do, make sure you tag us and let us know about your experience at Truist. So let's get in a little bit to Colorado. Obviously, we talked about Game 1 Tuesday. So Game 2, a 8-2 win. So A.J. Smith-Shawver, who by all accounts is okay.
Yes,
by the way, I talked about no injuries coming out. We think he's all right.
Yeah, he did have an X-ray and MRI done, and there was no fracture that was seen. And this is coming from Wiley Ballard. He did say that it was a 105 line drive off of his elbow area.
Yeah, it was on he said like on the meat of the arm.
Okay.
And I think that's probably why he's okay, because it didn't really hit the elbow itself.
I was going to be shocked if that hit his elbow, and he's okay. So as of right now, we'll keep you guys updated, but he is still set to pitch in next week.
Yeah, so 5.1 innings pitched of 4 hit, 2 earned run baseball with 6 strikeouts. I am big on this guy. I think that I would love to see him remain in the roster and get opportunities. I think that the upside is there. He's accomplished a lot. He's still young, but I think that there is potential there for him to be a fixture in that lineup.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with you. I think that had a good, solid outing, and I'm happy with where pitching is right now. I think that Chris Sale, and I want to move into talking about him. He seems like he's slowly but surely getting back on track. And I think yesterday was the first kind of glimpses of that. He's not at the same level caliber that he was last season. We expected that, but it's taking him a little longer to adjust back.
Yeah, talking with friend of the show, Golf Gardner, during the game, very encouraging in the fact that his velo was down yesterday, Chris Sale. So yesterday a 2-1 loss.
Yeah.
But Chris Sale went 7 innings.
Yeah, is that the longest he's gone so far?
Yes, it was his best start of the season. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 10 strikeouts with your velo being down.
Yeah.
That is impressive. That is the mark of a KG veteran and Chris Sale.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And Robert and Smuff, we're going to get to your comments too about revolving door and things like that of players. But that's a great point that I really didn't even consider, that he's getting back on track, but he's kind of still having to work through some things.
Yeah.
But he's improving his game despite the velocity being down and some other factors. So I think, you combine that with AJ Smith-Shawver, where Spencer Schwellenbach is at, and even Bryce Elder, who's starting to stack some starts. Pitching right now to me is pretty encouraging.
Yeah, if he would have, he pitched well enough for a win. Had he had the run support that AJ Smith-Shawver had, then the Braves would have easily won the game. So in that game, Matt Olson was 3 for 5. He had a double. He's a double machine and scored 3 runs. And then who else? Eli White, 2 for 4 with a triple. He also scored 2 runs. Chase Dolander was really impressive yesterday. Former
Georgia Southern
Georgia
Eagle.
Southern.
Yeah, turned Tennessee Vol.
Tennessee Volunteer. I thought he pitched very well, but the Braves, 3 hits. The Rockies only had 5 hits in the game.
It was surprising when you looked at the box score because it just was kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
It was just kind of disappointing, and I feel like it was interesting, and I want to get into the lineup as well. Smuff says Sniff sitting Verdugo and playing the ghost of Eddie Rosario yesterday, frustrating.
Glad he brought that up. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that was, Alex Verdugo missed some time. We brought him up later on. He's been playing every day. We're going to give him a scheduled rest. That's the way I took it. And we're going to throw Eddie Rosario in there to take that slot. That's you're not going to – I don't think they have any intention of platooning Alex Verdugo with as well as he is playing. I thought that was just an exception to the rule, a day off for Verdugo.
Well, and you look at the schedule that's upcoming. You have the Dodgers and the Reds and then the Pirates in the span of the next 11 days. If there's an opportunity, yesterday was it, I would say, to give him some rest. And I think – we do need to consider his spring/acclimation was a lot different.
Correct.
So you don't want to overplay him, risk injury.
Yeah.
And so, I did see a lot of complaints about it on social media, considering maybe that they kind of mailed it in, they got the series win, they didn't really care about the sweep. I wouldn't go that far, in my opinion.
I don't think you can tell that to Chris Sale, who was out there striking out 10 batters. Alex Verdugo's batting .341 on the season, .851 OPS. The guy's been fantastic. On outside looking in, it looks like he's a great fit.
Yeah. Smuff says, I get Snit's rationale behind it. Giving him a day off with a scheduled off day behind it seems excessive. Don't F with the mojo.
Yeah.
I mean, he does have a point.
Yeah, and I agree.
I agree.
I thought it was odd, too. I'm not in there, and I don't know, when guys need a day off versus when they don't. But he has been absolutely integral to the success of the team. So here we are once again on a Thursday that is a day off.
It's almost like they scheduled around us, Ush.
They do.
Do you think?
Probably.
Maybe?
They're probably watching. They want to be in the know.
They do.
And coming up at, where are we? Okay, day off, coming off the road, back at home, massive series with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yep.
So the Braves are in 3rd place. They're 6.5 back in the NL East. They're 14-16. The Dodgers, as you probably would expect, are 21-10 in first place in the NL West. They are tied for the Mets for the best record in all of baseball. And if you listen to a lot of folks, if you listen to just about anybody, that's everyone's pick to win it this year. If you listen to some, why are we even playing a season this year?
That is true.
Just give it to the Dodgers already. No one else
is even going to get close.
Yeah, exactly.
Much less the Braves.
I wouldn't go that far.
No.
But I would give them all their flowers. They're the best team in baseball. They've built an incredible roster all the way around. They had an incredible roster last year, but you still have to give them a lot of credit for persevering and winning it all when they had a pitching staff that was decimated by injury, and that didn't get as much attention because they weathered it so well.
They did, and I think, Reed Taylor, our resident Dodgers fan here, he said a lot about how, the Braves have kind of been struggling with injuries, kind of been struggling with the bullpen, but the Dodgers are right there with them.
Yeah.
And so I'm intrigued to see this matchup this coming weekend. This is always going to be a series for me that it's always going to be something that I'm excited for despite where both of these teams are at.
Well, you got a good note here, partner, that I want to bring up. In the series against the Rockies, no home runs for an entire series at Coors Field for the first time in franchise history.
That's crazy.
If the Braves do not hit any home runs in this series, they will be swept.
Yeah.
They are going to have to hit home runs and get any runs they can while they can, exploit anything they can against the Dodgers.
Yeah, any opportunity they have to take advantage of. And we've talked a lot about how the Braves have been living and dying by the home run. Now, in a weird way, that shifted this past series.
Yeah. Because
they were able to win games. But then in a way, it's, yesterday's game was kind of a microcosm of that because they weren't able to hit any home runs. And look at the score.
Yeah.
And especially a place like Coors Field.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And you're playing the Rockies. That's not a good offense. But again, credit to the bullpen in the series. The bullpen had a good series.
Yeah, they did.
And in game 2 and game 3 particularly, they did well.
Right.
And so did not give up a run there. So here are our pitching matchups for the weekend. So game 1, and thank you, Dodgers, for making me earn my keep here. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Tim Melton, you got it? Yamamoto. He's 3-2, 1.06. We just call him Yamamoto, and we know him because he's
really good.
He's earned his notoriety. Yeah. Very good pitcher. Taking on Grant Holmes, 2-1 with a 4.50. That is game 1, 6:15. Game 2, also 6:15. Roki Sasaki.
Yeah.
0-1. 3.55 ERA, taking on the special Spencer Schwellenbach, who's 1-2 with a 2.87. That's a big matchup right there. Game 3, Sunday night baseball, 6:10 on ESPN. Dustin May, 1-1 with a 3.95, taking on Bryce Elder, 1-1 with a 5.33. Possibly in attendance at Truist Park, Lance Taylor.
Really? I didn't know about
He just told me
this.
that. He said he may make the drive down to see Dustin May take on Bryce Elder.
Interesting. Those are some great pitching matchups. Those make me excited.
Yeah.
Because, the Dodgers pitching rotation is truly incredible. It's stacked, and these are some players that I'm excited to see how, the Braves match up against them. But it's going to be competitive, and I feel like kind of the similar sentiments we had with the Phillies earlier in the season. I'm very confident the Braves are going to rise to the occasion. It's inside of Truist Park, and this is going to be 3 days of baseball that are just fun to watch. And it doesn't really get much better than this, in my opinion.
Agreed. And so to the points being made, Hunter, I need Austin Riley's bat to be hot this weekend. I agree, and I need that top of the order in general to produce.
Yeah.
I do expect that we're going to see what we've been seeing.
Verdugo.
I think that outfield's going to be set in this series of, Verdugo, Eli White, and Michael Harris II, all 3 of which are hot bats.
Right, and I like that. I've seen so many jokes on Twitter or X lately about how, Acuna's going to eventually come back this month.
Yeah.
We are to May 1st, people. We made it. This is the month that we are supposed to see Acuna back up and out of his rehab assignment. Now, one thing I do want to note is that Brian Snitker gave an update earlier this week, and we should have mentioned it on Tuesday's show, but it really was a non-update on the health and status of Acuna.
The update is
there is no update.
There is no update.
So we'll keep an eye on that going forward, but this is a month that we're supposed to see our guy Acuna back, and that's exciting. But, right now, the outfield is in a really solid position despite so many factors that kind of aligned these 3 players together.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Eddie Rosario in a starting position. I don't expect to see Orlando Arcia, who I have to remind myself is still on the team. That is to the credit of Nick Allen, who has really fit in nicely at short, and I see him being the shortstop for the remainder, at least, of this year. But Nick Allen is playing really well. He's hitting the ball well.
He is, and I feel like he hasn't really received enough credit for what he's been doing. I think Eli White, along with Alex Verdugo, is kind of taking some of that.
I agree.
And there's a certain consistency that we're seeing from the Braves offense that we haven't seen all season.
Yeah, and to his credit, Nick Allen coming up with some timely hits as well, being a part of some things.
I do want to give you this quick stat, and I'm curious, we talked about this on the next round yesterday, but this has been the Braves offense since April 18th. So April 18th through the 28th. 287 batting average, third in the MLB. 358 OBP, fourth in the MLB. 100 hits, 13 home runs, 57 runs.
Okay.
So what do we attribute that to?
So I think you attribute that to you're putting together, you're looking at your roster and you're putting together a lineup. And I think when you got Sean Murphy back from injury.
Yep.
And you gave guys that you haven't given much of a try, like a Nick Allen and like an Eli White, a shot. And you called up Alex Verdugo. All of those things happened, not at the exact same time, but fairly close together.
Yes. And I do want to say, Alex Verdugo got called up April 18th.
Yeah, exactly. So as those things all happen, I just mentioned, and then having guys like Michael Harris.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Marcell Ozuna, who's the best hitter on the team. Those guys, Austin Riley playing better, Matt Olson playing better. Then all that started just kind of happening together at the same time.
It's an interesting, date range to look at because it does really coincide with Verdugo being here.
This is more of who the team is.
Yes.
Now, that is not even to say that's not even being a homer or a Braves apologist, but this is more, I think anyone that knows baseball would say this is more indicative of who Atlanta is, whereas the beginning of the season was not indicative of who Atlanta is.
But again, wouldn't you say, though, we haven't seen this offensive consistency since last season.
Correct.
But earlier last season.
Yeah, who's to say how important is that chemistry piece and putting those right pieces in place, and I think it can be the key factor there. And you look at that lineup, when they have the guys we just mentioned. Yep. You got Verdugo and Harris and White in the outfield. Your infield, of course, Matt Olson.
Ozzy
Albies, Nick Allen, Austin Riley, and then you have Sean Murphy behind the plate. You see that lineup, Marcell Ozuna at DH. You feel confident.
You do.
You know that lineup should be able to win you ball games against whoever you're playing.
Yeah, and I think that it's no better time for this to start clicking than with the Dodgers coming to town this coming weekend. So it's going to be an exciting series. I think that I'm encouraged as a Braves fan. I was complaining that the Braves didn't get the sweep about, 20 minutes ago. And now I'm like, no, this is awesome. Because it is. The Braves' start to the season was so abysmal.
Turning that frown upside down.
We are.
So you mentioned here about Marcell Ozuna.
Yes. I want to talk about this.
What are you...
What am I hearing?
What's the rumor mill, EG?
So the rumor mill is that Marcell Ozuna, now that the Braves are getting back to a position to be a contender, which is, again, crazy to say considering how we thought that the Braves may not make postseason at all and may never win a game.
May just, lose their franchise.
Yeah, like that's where we were at. That's where a lot of Braves country...
Hey, remember the Braves? They don't exist anymore.
Right.
We're turning Truist into a water park.
Yeah. So basically what I've been seeing swirling over the last day or so is that come deadline time, Marcell Ozuna could be the reality of being someone that the Braves trade.
So I've thought a lot about this.
Okay.
And I hate it.
I do too.
So, nope. I'm never going to get on board with that. He's the best hitter on the team consistently. Mm-hmm. And nope.
So he is projected for free agency and a potential $77 million deal looming. Atlanta may seek to leverage his value for critical pitching upgrades.
They need critical pitching upgrades. There's no question about that. But I just, that would kill me. That's a big one. That's just a big loss. Marcell brings a lot. And last year there was a period of time when literally everyone was struggling at the plate that wasn't Marcell.
Literally. So that it's early on that this is being discussed, but May 1st, the starts time for things to start being discussed about, the trade deadline and what teams will be doing or projecting. I don't foresee this happening, considering who he is to the clubhouse and, you know, how consistent he has been. And then, too, like, his ability to get walks, too.
Yeah, no, great. And that goes to what you and I have noticed and have talked about here on the show about the Braves' approach at the plate as a team and their ability to draw walks.
Yeah.
Marcell, no one better on the team than Marcell.
No.
You sound off, Pennant Grace family. What do you think? We are on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, at the Pennant Grace. Let us know what you think about Marcell. Trade him and load up, or ride or die. Let us know what you think.
So that is
good, Robert. Good point in the chat there. Remember how he let Max Fried walk? He's pretty good this year. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's kind of really disappointing.
some former Braves, AJ Minter out for the season injury. Hate to see that. Even a Met.
Yeah.
I like AJ Minter so much that I want to see him succeed even as a Met, except when he pitches against Atlanta. Hate to see that.
But
Charlie Morton has struggled. Hate to see that as well. Big Charlie Morton fan. Not surprised by Max Fried, and I'm happy for Max Fried, especially since it's the American League.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about him as much.
Deal with him.
Happy for him. And, I didn't, Robert, I hated it. You know, that was a guy that spent his whole career in Atlanta, and I didn't want to see him go.
I don't either.
And to Smel's point, you either extend Marcell for a year or two, or you trade him. You can't afford to let him just walk.
Agreed.
Now, that is true.
Agreed.
That is true.
Like, that, we've talked about that so often on this show about these guys that just seemingly walk out the door. And there's no fight for them. It's just, we'll figure it out.
If, let's say they traded Marcell, or let's say Marcell was hurt, I assume your other catcher is going to get the majority of those at-bats at DH?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't love it.
No, it doesn't have the...
No.
That's not...
It's not ideal.
It's not.
Okay, so we will be back Tuesday at 12:15 Central. That's where we're always at, 12:15 Central. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
We don't know if we'll be happy or sad.
We don't know.
But we'll
be here.
We'll go through that Dodgers series game by game, look at it, see what we've learned. You know, you got to remember, now that we're in May, April, May, you know, as you kind of go into June, you are still learning, especially April, May. You are learning about your team.
Yeah.
Who are we? What are we really about? What do we bring? Where are we doing well? Where are we struggling? Where are there holes that we can? Because you're starting to think about, okay, how can we better this roster? Are we going to be buyers or sellers? What are other people in the league doing? Things like that. So each series is a learning experience as a fan about your team.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't start this series, or this season, saying, I think, Nick Allen and Eli White are going to, and Alex Verdugo are going to be key to the Braves' success.
No, we would have never, it wouldn't have made sense for us to say that. And I feel like we keep having those conversations when it comes to the Braves the last couple of years. But you have these guys that really become identifiers on the season. It's like, a lot of people are comparing Alex Verdugo to Jock Peterson, and I like that comparison.
Yeah.
And these are some guys that, in an unexpected situation, they've risen to the occasion. Yeah,
I want to just very quickly before we close on Hunter's comment, I don't want another Freddie Freeman or Dansby Swanson situation. I don't either. Freddie Freeman is probably my favorite player of all time. I put the blame mostly on him for that. And Dansby, I put most of the blame and all of the blame on Atlanta for that, because they could have had him and didn't. But it's, things are working out okay right now.
Yeah, and I miss Darno every day.
Yeah.
I miss Darno.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for the Pennant Grace. If they want to be in style, Ush, where do they need to go?
Roback.com. Go to Roback.com, and on your first order, enter code PG20. It's going to save you 20% off of your entire order. It's a great time of year where you can be in short sleeves, you can be in a tee, you can be in a polo, and then if you're doing something that evening, you're sitting out on the porch, it may be time to put on the lightweight hoodie.
It could.
Maybe one of those quarter zips.
Quarter zip.
Yeah, they've got you covered there for everything you need. For those that crave activity, Roback.com, code PG20.
Quick programming note. So we did tease the possibility of having a watch party this weekend for the Dodgers. We're going to have to bump it, but it will happen this month. So keep that in mind. Be on the lookout.
Nobody likes a tease.
No, and we apologize for that. But we will have a set time for all of us to gather, watch the Braves as a group here in Birmingham,
Yeah, we had a really good conversation with our friends at Lags Eatery yesterday about that, and so we're going to have something good. We'll get it out. We'll have plenty of time to promote that, get the word out to you guys so we can have a big turnout.
Yep. So meet us back here Tuesday at 12:15. Remember, we're on podcast, so leave us a review if you feel so inclined. That really helps us out. You can find us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Tune in on my Twitter at MEG_sports, and we will see you back here Tuesday at 12:15.